Thomas Kuhn and the Knowledge Revolution. Thomas Kuhn was a Jewish American professor, first of physics, then of history of science at Harvard. He wrote Structure of Scientific Revolutions at University of California at Berkeley in 1962. He finished his career at MIT in 1991. The main point about T.S. Kuhn's Structure of Scientific Revolutions is that he notices the parallel between scientific and social revolutions. Both scientific and social revolutions start with the stage of normality, where in the field of science, so-called scientists are doing the mopping up operations, whereas in the field of everyday life, people go as usual about their business. Then something happens, some anomaly appears, which doesn't quite fit into the accepted model of science or the paradigm of everyday life. Such anomaly may be increasing levels of social and political violence in otherwise superficially normal society, as for example we now see in the United States, with police shootings of black people and the reaction in the form of Black Lives Matter movement and general social protests and rebellions. The anomaly which we see in Marxism is that social revolutions have occurred not in the advanced technologically capitalist countries, but in backward, semi-feudal countries, such as Russia, China, etc. These are not exceptions, but rather the normal pattern in 20th century. Anomalous behavior, or pattern of development, leads to the stage of crisis, both in society and in the domain of knowledge. In the later, variations of the old theory start to appear in attempt to explain the anomaly as something to be expected and quite normal. In society, the ruling class is not able to come up with anything new except more violent repressions. Understandably, this works up to the limit, which has been overstepped a long time ago. Crisis is inability to handle the new situation using the old methods, or understand the new phenomenon relying upon the existing paradigm. Hence, a new worldview appears which, in potentiality, can replace the existing mode of behavior, both in society and in the domain of knowledge. Its appearance is nothing spectacular, as it is a flower known only to a few people, as for example Christianity was first preached by 12 apostles. And Lenin says that in 1890s the number of Marxists in Petrograd, the capital of Russia, could be counted on one hand. However, this new worldview has the potential to overthrow the existing social order, or overturn the existing conception of what it means to be doing science. The shift from one paradigm, or the model of behavior, to another one is called a scientific revolution. But that is not a correct naming. as science is only a transitory stage in development of knowledge. Transition from polygamy of Roman gods to a more human conception of society, represented by early Christianity, was certainly a revolution, both in the domain of knowledge and in society, but not a scientific one. And knowledge has certainly already gone behind the narrow confines of science, meaning a specialized study. Marxism is one instance of that, for Marxism is not a science, but a collection of sciences, or rather a synthetic worldview. Political revolutions aim to change political institutions in ways that those institutions themselves prohibit, writes Kuhn. Hence, they need to break the old state machine. In history, this has been done in a variety of ways. For example, in the form of anti-colonial war in Vietnam. In the field of knowledge, the old attempt to kill the new, as we see in the case of Inquisition repressing such seekers as Bruno and Galileo. The new seeds should wait for the old to die out, so new generation will appear, which may take up the new ideas. As Hegel repeated, let the dead carry out their dead. As new paradigm appears, it is only a seed, but it must develop and prove its right to exist and develop to maturity. This is similar to development of a child from a fetus to a grown adult. So also with the new social institutions which replace the old state machinery. They prove their right to exist in the battle with the old. That which doesn't pass the test of war has no right to pretend to be the future. The end of social revolutions, as we said before, is establishment and flowering of the new paradigm, a worldview, a set of social relations which are superior to the old ones and promote greater beauty and greater life for majority of people. In other words, greater democracy. On the parallel between scientific and social revolutions. An analysis of the concept of revolution gives us two connected aspects: the revolution in knowledge and the social revolution. In order to see who leads the modern social revolution, we need to look at who leads the modern knowledge revolution. Various authors have come up with this thought, but it seems didn't give much weight to it. For example, Alexander Tarasov, a prominent Russian left theoretician, writes in 2008 in the second edition of Capitalism in Russia. It is exactly in the pre-revolutionary period, that is before 1917, that Russia has taken up a prominent place in the international scientific community. This is explained by the fact that at this time, a generation of democratic and materialistically oriented commoners has come into science, and especially into natural sciences. And it was their radical political wing which has constituted the basis of revolutionary movement. We notice a similar tendency in other revolutions. In the American Revolution, it was Benjamin Franklin who has founded the first library system in the American colonies and has conducted experiments with electricity. And it was also the same man who has joined and led the revolutionary movement against the Red Coats. Coming back to the analysis of Alexander Tarasov, he notices the parallel between scientific and social revolution when it comes to pre-1917 Russia. But who leads the development in knowledge in the modern era? Tarasov, following a habit of a Marxist, looks to the working class and doesn't notice the revolution there. He asks, is the modern working class, like proletariat in the Tsarist Russia, a leading class? Does it stand out among the population in general in relation to its high level of literacy? Is it this class that is busy in the most advanced technologically and scientifically complex branches of production? Finally, is it permitted, maybe at least unconsciously on non-verbal level, with class spirit? It is this spontaneous class spirit which has allowed for social democratic ideas to be successfully inserted into the working class. Let's be precise. A leading revolutionary class is that which manifests itself as such in the most advanced scientifically and technological sectors of production. What is this class today? In order to develop these ideas further, I turn to the works of Alexander Fetisov, 1912-1991, a Soviet dissident and philosopher.